Arthur is not really in Fern's slumber party that much, but it's still a really enjoyable episode of Arthur. It's the second segment of the 15th episode of the second season, and this focuses on Fern. Fern we've met briefly in some other episodes, but now we get to have a proper look at her and her home life, and we learn pretty quickly that her mother has ridiculously high expectations for her. And I thought they were going to lean in on that aspect a little bit, but they kind of quickly brushed that off after maybe the first 5 minutes. So I think there's a lot to unpack there, and a lot that maybe could be explored. Maybe they do in a future episode explore what it's like to be a child where your parent has ridiculously high expectations for you. But in this episode, Fern's mother convinces Fern to invite her friends for her first ever slumber party. And Francine and Muffy and Prunella and the character called Jenna, I believe this is Jenna's first episode. I'm very familiar with the character from my childhood. But I think this is Jenna's first episode. She is a cat. I think she looks brilliant. Love the design of her. Looking forward to getting to know her more in future episodes. But the four of them go to Fern's house and they are bored. And the reason they're bored, even though they don't realise this, is because they keep trying to control what games and activities they do. And we get the feeling that Fern actually had some activities planned that they might actually all enjoy. But because they assume that Fern is going to be really boring, they plan the activities themselves, and they end up being bored as a result of that. But something happens, and I won't say what, but something happens that allows Fern to be in her element. She's a big fan of detective stories, and she begins to play detective to try and solve a crime, in air quotes, and she plays the part of the detective, and it's atmospheric, and she recounts the events of the evening leading up to what had happened. And I think it's a really great way to also show us more about what had happened rather than just telling it in a linear aspect. And I love Fern. I relate to Fern, not with a parent having ridiculously high expectations. Those are on me. I have my own ridiculously high expectations. But in terms of not really wanting to be the hostess of the party, not really, wanting to interact that much, and would rather just be by myself with a good book, I really feel for Fern. And I thought she made a good effort to make things work and to try and do what her mother wanted her to do. But it was really enjoyable to see. And when she came into her element, I was really happy for her. Francine, I wanted to punch a couple of times because she was controlling and wanting everything to be done her way, and maybe her intentions were good. She wanted to bring activities so that they weren't bored, but the way she executed things just wasn't pleasing. But as I said, Jenna was really, really great. A nice fresh face, and I really enjoyed it. As I said, Arthur's barely in it. Doesn't bother me at all. Fern's slumber party is good fun. It's well told, well animated, of course. Definitely an episode that I really enjoyed.